what we're talking about is time. Time's a funny thing, because when you first jumped on, we gave you a couple of questions, and one of them was, what's your biggest obstacle to getting fit? At least 50% of the people answered something about time. I don't have enough time. I can't find the time because of everything else. I just don't have the time. If you guys don't mind, I would like to be a little tough for a second, because the reality is that, we are all busy. There is no doubt about it. I think that women are crazy busy these days. It's gone are the days when, we could take care of the kids or the home or whatever. I mean, now we're working jobs, we're starting businesses, we're running companies, we're taking care of the kids, we're doing it all, okay? We are doing it all. We can't do it all if we aren't taking care of ourselves, because you know why, right? If you're not taking care of yourself, then you're just going to run out of energy. That's the other thing that most people said, either time or energy. So talking about time right now. So what really it means when you say you don't have the time to do something is that it means you don't have the priority to do it. I know, like when I say that, I know some people get a little irritated with me because, there's a lot of stuff going on. But no time really means no priority. So when you take something and you say, okay, right now I have decided that I am 100% committed, like 100% committed to getting fit, to feeling great, to whatever that thing is that, that you want. When you're 100% committed to fitness freedom, then you're going to find time, even if it's just a little bit. Like I just did a video earlier, and in that video I was talking about, you can start out with what we call tiny habits, which is like, you tie a habit to something else. You're brushing your teeth, you do butt squeezes. You're flossing your teeth, you do calf raises. You're making coffee, you do push-ups on the counter. Like you can tie your tiny habits to a lot of different things. But that's one way to find time. Another way to find time is just to say, I'm just taking 15 minutes. I'm just taking 15 minutes, and it's my time. I'm ready for it. So that's another way to do it. I'm not a big fan of get up earlier, unless you're just like lollygagging around, because a lot of us need more sleep. But you know yourself, and you know where you can find that little slice of time. The interesting thing about it is, as soon as you start moving more, you start moving more. Like, yeah, Kelly, you'll find the time to spend the money and time on what matters most to you. Absolutely. Because it's like eating well, right? Or eating right, let's say it. Sometimes people will say, well, I can't afford to shop organic. Let's just throw that out there as one idea. The truth is that when you start eating, and I know I'm a little off topic here, but let's just talk about it for a second. When you start eating organic, then you find yourself eating better. When you start moving, you find yourself moving more. So that's where your time comes in. So start looking at it. Another thing that you need to do, or that I would suggest you do, is track your time. Like, just track it for a few days. Where are you spending your time? I know that, it's like the amount of time we spend on social media, and I have to tell you, I realize the irony because we're here on social media, okay? I totally get the irony. But the amount of time that we're spending on social media is crazy. And it's, in a way, it's not our fault. Because if your notifications are on your phone, or if your notifications are turned on your computer, it's ding, bing, catch your attention nonstop. One way to just cut back on social media, cut back on those notifications. Take it off your phone. But just look for a little while. Track your time. Are you spending a lot of time watching TV? And that's another time suck. Some of the other time sucks that we have, email. Just kind of like constantly checking email. If I was to call myself out on something, I have to be super careful, because I'll leave my email open and then I'll start just kind of checking it. I don't need to check it. When I'm doing my best work and my best scheduling, it's when I turn off all of that stuff, actually, and I only check it twice a day. So just start looking at where you're spending your time. Another thing is, hey Donna, I didn't see you jumped on. And Carol, thanks for coming on. And yeah, social media, it is just a killer. Another thing that happens is what I call lazy work. And lazy work is when you just kind of are doing more filler work, or you're allowing work to fill up the time that you have allotted for that work versus maybe working a little harder and quicker. And then I'll talk about later, there's something we do called nitros. It's something that everybody in my VIP group just started doing at the beginning because super fast, like it is the fastest workout I know. And I'll post it in here for you. But it's super fast and then you just go for it, right? And okay, Diana, I love this. She's doing squats, planks, and ab exercises while she's watching. Good for you. Paulina, I don't know what a pound class is. So think about that and think about, yeah, busy work, right? Busy work instead of quality work. I just call it lazy work a lot of times. And if you watch yourself work, you'll catch yourself doing this, where if you have 3 things that need to get done and you have 6 hours, it's going to take all 6 hours, right? If you have 4 hours, it's probably going to take just 4 hours. So tighten it up, like tighten your schedule up. Another thing to look at is if you don't have time, it means that it's either not your priority or it could mean that you're into perfection. When you're into perfection, what happens is a few things. One of them is that you won't do something unless you can do it the best you can, which I think we were all taught to do, right? You know, something's not worth doing if you don't do it perfect. Forget that. What you really want to do is just get things done so you've got the time for yourself. I know like a friend of mine, she has 2 kids, able-bodied teenagers, but they don't help at the house because she thinks she can do a better job than they can, which guess what? She does, right? She does a way better job. But the truth is that that's perfectionism. Just drop it and run. Like, you know, be willing for things to not be as perfect as they were. Be willing to let the kids help with dinner. Be willing to put the kids to work at dinner. Be willing to, heaven forbid, let your husband go grocery shopping, which is the thing that like that's really scary in my world. But every so often I'm just like, here's the list. And he loves it, right? It takes him 5 hours to go to the grocery store because he just wanders around and buys stuff we don't need. But, you know, sometimes you just have to just drop the perfection and run with it because that is a huge time suck. Okay, so one thing is, right now I bet everyone can think of one thing in your world that is your biggest time suck. Like, you know, what is that one thing in your world every day, every week, that if you dropped, you could find that 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is a day, to replace that with some movement. Because that's where we're going with all of this, is that I want to get people away from sitting and get people out moving. And the fact that Diana said that she was doing squats while she's watching, that's perfect. Just think of things like that. So, you know, what's that one thing you can do in your life? Okay. And then when you think of it, stop it. Like go cold turkey for a week and find that instead of doing it, you're going to fill your time with what we're talking about next, which is scheduling. If you don't schedule something, it's really not real. You wouldn't make a doctor's appointment and not schedule it, right? So like putting a doctor's appointment on your schedule, it makes it real. Putting your work on your schedule. Like I know exactly what I'm going to do tomorrow. I mean, I'm a little anal about this, but I work with my schedule. And what it does is by knowing exactly what I'm going to do tomorrow, I'm able to also know exactly what I'm going to do all week in my workouts. I schedule my workouts every week. I know exactly what I'm going to do, and I always leave wiggle room so that if something happens one day, I can maybe replace it with something else that day. But I have a pretty good idea, and I schedule it. I schedule it out a week. And on your fit shit today, sorry, I knew I was going to say that someday. On your fit sheet today, you have opportunities for scheduling. Like you can either start on Mondays or you can start on Sundays, but it is definitely in the fit sheet. And I'm not going to say that word again today because I'm not going to make it work this time. So think about it. Like it's not real if it's not scheduled. So schedule out your time, schedule out your week, schedule out your exercise, your movement. Like I'm not even looking for people to jump in and just, you know, go all hog to the gym. Just start scheduling in the movement. And like Kelly said, yes, rocks in my schedule keep me in action. Yep. If you have questions, feel free, because I am definitely checking the comments as I go. Pamela, don't worry about being late. There's always a replay, and I'm trying to keep these pretty quick because I don't want y'all spending all your time here. I want you out doing things. As far as what to do, right? You'll hear me talk about the fitness pyramid, okay? And to me, the fitness pyramid is what we should all be using. A fitness pyramid has a strong base. It's got a strong foundation. And that foundation is you're going to do some sort of cardio, you have some sort of resistance or weights, and then you have some sort of stretching, whatever that works for you. So that is the foundation to the fitness pyramid, to the whole fitness pyramid, okay? And then once you create that and you've got your things that you're doing, whether it's 1 day a week you're doing cardio or 3 days a week, like it's not that you have so much going on, it's that you have it scheduled and you know what you're going to do. And then as you get better and better at what you're doing, then you can just start moving up the pyramid, making things a little harder. A good example, and I guess there's one more thing to add to that pyramid bottom, because this is a big thing for a lot of people, is enough water, making sure you're hydrated, and of course food. But you know, the funny thing about food is, and we'll talk about this more again, but there's a lot of studies out there that show that if you start moving, and I mean, this doesn't have to be a huge thing, you just start moving, you're exercising, your food and what you eat is going to start improving pretty quickly. Like as we go along in life, when we're doing a job of movement, then our natural ability of eating cleaner and healthier just starts coming out. And let me stop for just a second. Pamela, are you asking, is it bad to use housework as exercise? That's your question. Like personally, I don't think of housework as exercise. If you're just like going like a wild demon and you're tearing around the house cleaning up, it's probably going to break a sweat. But it's not really fitting into the need of, you know, weights and resistance, cardio, stretching, unless you've got some wild, like I could see some wild teeny habit thing happening where you're, you know, as you vacuum, you're doing calf lifts or something, but I'm not sure if that's super helpful. I wouldn't really look at housework as part of your exercise foundation or your fitness pyramid. But going back to the whole idea of like having this pyramid and then moving up, one of the other things is that, you know, when you're drinking enough water, then it makes it easier for your health too. So you just want to like look at all those things and start thinking about them. And you start small, like start small. I know in our VIP group, like one of our ladies started in her first week, her only goal was to drink more water. Like that was it. And I was like, okay, that's a good start. As long as the next week, you know, we step it up a bit. But it worked because she started with more water, and then we brought in some nitros, and now we're on like week 5 and she's going to the gym. So things really, like things can move very quickly, but I encourage you to start small for a couple of reasons. One reason is that if you start all in, like I'm going to train for a marathon, I'm going to start going to the gym, and I'm going to drink 3 liters of water a day or whatever it is and eat clean. When you go all in like that, it's kind of like a New Year's resolution. It's a little hard to have it stick, because when things start slipping, we have typically our first thought is just to let it all go. So think instead about like starting small and building up. And we'll definitely talk about habits, because that's like part of the whole habit thing, is you're either going to be starting small and building better habits, or you're going to be taking away bad habits. And definitely I'm all over chatting about habits, because you may have seen the tagline that I use mostly, which is, if willpower worked, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Forever, I thought that I just didn't have willpower. And then I finally learned that I just didn't have good habits. So, okay, I am going to see if anyone has comments. First thing, Diane, if you don't like to exercise at all, then I guess I would say a couple of things. One thing is, the truth is that, all right, let me just be blunt here for a second. And I try not to be too blunt, but I'm going to be blunt. As women, about the time we hit 30, everything that's been working for us starts sliding back. And I just like, and I'm not going to get into all the science behind it because I don't want to keep you guys here all day because I don't want to run too long. But basically, you're either in growth or you're in decay. And if you're not doing anything, after about 30, we start kind of slipping into decay. That's a tough word, right? It's just what happens. So exercise and movement, eating right, mindset, meditation, all of these things are the things that keep us growing instead of sliding backwards.